The best is yet to come, and baby, won't that be fine? The best is yet to come, and I don't know the lyrics to the rest.
That's Will. We've got our guest, Will Gonell from Gonell Homes.
Our first guest that sang his own intro.
Yes. You may have started something there.
Will, you are awesome. I love you, dude. I love you.
So I've got Mikey to the right of me, a slightly darker Mikey to the right of me.
And I've got Carlito Man
Well,
to the right of me.
and to the right of me, I've got Will from Gonell Renovations or Gonell Homes.
Somebody does his homework before we start recording.
And you know what? You'd figure I knew that already.
Because you just met him like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, actually, I just, you know what? He overwhelmed me with this song. I was like, wow.
Caught me off guard.
Caught
me off guard.
Usually Mike gets me off guard, but he totally got me off guard this time.
That's in the shower. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
And to the right of me, I have the one and only Manny from Hardcore Rentals.
And we're going to be talking about you, Will.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna stay shut up and quiet. That's all we're. No, we're not. No, we're not. We can't. We're interested. We're interested because you've got a very interesting story. So we're calling this one the military, police, contractor.
Wait a second. If I remember FPI.
Oh, hang on a sec. We'll get into that. You're rushing things. You are rushing things. Okay, let's don't dive right in there, right? So why don't you give us a little lowdown on how you got started and why contracting? How did you get into contracting from military and police?
Because I didn't know how to do anything with my hands.
Hey, that's how I got into it.
I actually started volunteering. Met a girl. It always starts that way.
Man, it always
there
starts
it is,
that
yeah.
way, huh?
Usually ends that way.
But then you meet another girl.
Met a girl. She's here. She's from Toronto, actually. Kind of came down to who's moving where, what's happening. At the time, my military culture was coming to an end, and I was eligible for an early retirement in the police department. Naturally, I took it after a very, very long distance relationship, 4.5 years to be exact.
Holy, that's a long time.
Yeah. When I came here, I started volunteering with troubled youths. I didn't really want to go
Where
back.
were you coming from when you were police? You were police in the Bronx.
New York City, yeah, the Bronx.
A little different than Toronto, huh?
Just a little bit.
Tiny
just a little
bit. Okay.
One of the blocks in my precinct, which is the area that I grew up actually, was actually known as the heroin capital of New York City.
Wow.
Yeah,
Of New York.
It was
Of
very,
New
it was
York.
very busy. It was very busy.
Okay.
We call it a busy house. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's a busy house. But anyways, the recruiters here, they wanted me to join the police department, but I was ready to hang up my uniform at that point. And I started just volunteering with kids until I figured things out. My wife owned a home at the time. It was an older home. And I realized that I didn't know how to do anything. I always hired someone. I said, you know what? I'm putting all these kids through trade programs. Why don't I try it myself? So I literally got up very early one day for like about 2-3 weeks and just going job site to job site looking for someone that wanted to teach me.
Just drove around town?
I would just walk.
Go to
The entire
You
day.
walked,
I
so you didn't
walked.
have to find
I
parking.
walked.
Fuck's sake.
Somebody had a hard time finding a parking spot today.
An hour, dude. A fucking hour of driving around to meet your ass. This better be fucking interesting.
You know, Mikey, you could have
feel
walked
so
it.
special.
I'm joking. I love you, Will. I love you, buddy.
So you're walking around town and you're just like going up to like commercial job sites?
Every single residential project that I saw along the way.
Did they give you those kink in the neck kind of looks at you? Like, what the hell you...
They looked at me like if I had 3 heads.
Really, huh?
Like, what the hell are you doing
Nobody
here?
does this? I
Three-headed
assume...
monster.
I assume back in the day, like way back, that a lot of guys would have did this looking for work. They would have just walked around looking for work, no?
It wasn't my experience.
Typically in Toronto, you can't find anyone looking for work.
Yeah.
I got nothing but rejection everywhere I went, actually.
Nobody would help.
No one will help. I don't know if they I don't know. I can't speak for them. I don't know if there was a bit of a threat. They didn't know what to do with someone in my situation.
I think it has something to do with a bit of a threat.
But you had a little bit of a background with the trades because you were putting the kids through it, right?
With the kids, I was actually learning with the kids, believe it or not. Whatever they were learning, they would come back to the program and kind of speak about it. And I said, okay, then I started kind of watching videos and I'm like, okay, this is something I really want to do. And that's what prompted the interest to walk around and start looking.
Those kids aren't working for you now, are they?
You know what? The sad thing is a lot of them fall victim to the system and everything else. So hence why I was there to begin with. Needless to say, they sparked something in me, which I'm very, very, very thankful.
How long ago was that? That would have been...
You're taking me back, Manny. This is now.
Hey, the older we get, the more we gotta keep track of when things happen.
2 years ago.
This is about 8 years.
8 years ago?
8 years ago.
Something like that. Yeah.
So you were like 8. You're how old are you, man? You look like you're 20.
Hang on, we go through this all the time.
Well,
First
seriously,
off,
man,
Carlito's the oldest, okay?
I'm always the oldest.
So are you younger than him? I'm pointing at
how old are
Mike.
you?
Yeah.
How old are you, Mikey?
I'm 32.
No, you're not.
He can never keep the...
39, man.
36.
You're 36?
What's the
You're the
youngest?
youngest
No,
here.
wait. Maybe I'm gonna be 37.
81. Yeah, you're 36.
Okay.
I'm 78. He's 36.
So, well, and at any point, there was no point that you wanted to get into construction because you're trying to save some money?
Not at all. It was just pure interest. There was so much. Again, in an
What
older
was it that
home.
you were fascinated about?
My uncles growing up, they were carpenters
Okay.
in the Dominican Republic. And I was always drawn to the fact that they knew how to do shit. Like they just built something out of nothing. At the time, believe it or not, and it goes with society today, at the time, that wasn't a profession you wanted to follow because everyone became a doctor, everyone became a lawyer, especially in the Dominican Republic because that's
In the Dominican,
In the
that's
Dominican.
How, really?
Yeah.
That's the same thing here.
Yeah. Because everyone tries to go for the title. They think that there's more money in that.
Well, you know that as contractors, we are doctors.
We are.
Very good point
House
there,
doctors.
Carlito.
Yes, doctor.
Doctor.
Will, I
need a wrench. Stat.
I
Super
concur,
stat.
Will.
Wrench, screwdriver.
We're losing
scaffold. We're losing them. Yeah.
No, so it wasn't something that you sought after. The interest kind of stayed in me.
Yeah.
But because of society and everything else like that, I never really pursued it because everyone said, get something secure, get something safe. So hence why the military, the police department, because it kind of automatically elevates you to a middle class status. And it's a job security and everything like that. But
I'd say
Wait.
bullshit.
First of all, middle class has more fun. but you skipped over a big thing. Like for me, I love the military. So like you kind of got away from the military. Like it wasn't that something that brought you into construction?
no, because in the military, not to get into specifics or anything like that, I was essentially part of a grunt unit, which, we hit the ground running. Within that, I moved around quite a bit, did a little bit of intel, did a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but it not necessarily, I didn't deal a lot with the engineers that were there or anything like that. I was always fascinated by the work they did. Again, back to my childhood, society still at that point dictated what I did and how I even thought at the time being.
What was
to be
the
honest.
shift between from military to police?
The police department is a paramilitary organization. Also, they like to say, and and not to bash anyone or anything like that, but they say that they have the same brotherhood and everything else like that, and it's not quite the case. There's a lot more individuals in the police department, whereas in the military, you're a unit. You move as one.
Got it.
For a civilian organization, they do the best, I think, at replicating some of that, but nonetheless, there's a lot of individualism.
So, military, police, meet a girl.
Meet a girl. Yeah.
Long
you know
distance.
what? Life always changes when you meet the woman, the right woman.
Right? I was going to say, right or wrong woman, life always changes.
It's true.
And behind a good man, there's always a good woman.
A better woman is.
Behind Manny, there's always Mike. As Mike is kissing Manny.
No. Manny's making, anyways, suggestions that you're...
It's a podcast. We have no video on here.
Exactly.
None of us can prove any of this shit, okay?
Yeah.
No, but
So you met the girl, but then...
Met the girl,
So
yeah.
you come up to Canada. I lost my question because you got on this whole kissing thing.
He was
okay.
helping.
Yeah.
He was helping youths out,
Yep.
getting them in the trade business. It sounded like you got inspired by the people that you were trying to inspire.
I did because it was interesting for me. The mentality at that point, the city of Toronto said, "Hey, you know what? If these kids are not going to go to school, let's give them a trade so that they can be productive members of society." I didn't quite like the language at the time, but nonetheless, I understood it. Productive members of society. That's something like you use at a rehab or when you're going for parole, when you're in jail or something like that.
So was it co-op?
It was similar to co-op, not quite, because it was special programs that they were putting them into that there was no schooling required and there was huge grants for it and everything else like that, which obviously helped. And it was a way to just keep them busy.
Here's a question for you, Will.
Sure.
What if she went down to New York instead of you coming up to Toronto?
It wouldn't have happened only because she has kids from a previous marriage.
Got it.
So I was the free bird that
to go
way.
down.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, what if she went down there? Would you have still gotten the bug to get into contracting?
Not at all. Not at all. At all. 100% not.
I'm not
at
trying
all.
to
No.
taint your marriage. or
Living
anything.
in a concrete jungle. I mean, kudos to the guys that are contractors in New York City, but the reality is everyone lives in condos for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part, you got to go outside of the city to get a house. So everything is done for you. Like there's no. You see the construction workers, and you're like, okay, usually.
But there's some nice high-end condos with some really nice finishes inside. There's
there
still a lot
are.
of structural
and lots of zeros.
Yeah,
Lots of zeros.
Lots of zeros.
Well, Toronto will be the next New York.
Yeah.
We're headed that way. So you
Yeah,
didn't go far
absolutely.
from New York.
No.
You're just going to the new New York.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was my question. Where did the FBI fit in here?
So
Were they following you?
Is your name Will Gonell? Are you a contractor?
This isn't a podcast. This is a whole lie detector testing kind of.
once I was a military man when I was in. I could have been a lifer, and once I was overseas, you kind of meet certain groups, and one thing kind of begets another, and you meet the special op team, and you meet like all the for lack of a better word, for a layman's term, kind of like the mercenary group and everything like that, Blackwater and all those guys.
I like where this is going.
And when you compare salaries, it's kind of like, okay, I get it.
Really?
And it was very, very appealing, and they wanted me. I had certain clearances and certain training and everything else that they really wanted. So
After this podcast, can I learn some of those?
By the way, my name is John Smith. If anybody's listening,
I'm telling you, had I not met my wife, I would have been a career guy because I was, in a way, the perfect candidate. I didn't have no real family ties other than, far away family and stuff like that. My immediate family was very small and very detached. So,
I feel like we're the FBI interviewing him right now, and he's trying not to tell us he has family.
John Smith here has nothing to do with the FBI. Okay.
If anything, it's just a Croatian police listening.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. But then you get up here and you started helping out the youths, and then you get into the bug of construction.
I did.
So we wanted to, because we got sidetracked a tiny bit. Nobody would help you. You go to all these job sites and
No one
nobody
will
would
help
give
me.
you the time of day, huh?
The amount of refusal, thank God I'm not this kind of person, but the amount of refusal that I got was enough to discourage most people, actually.
Dude, I would have got you working if you walked into my job site. I would have like,
Same with me.
Yeah.
I always say to myself, my God, if I had another me at that point,
Yeah,
they'd be hired on
good
the
luck.
spot.
I say the same thing too. If I
go buy
had
some
10 of me,
mirrors.
I could retire right now.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of rejection. And, it was, I think, the third week or so that I finally found a builder that he must have seen the worst sucker on my forehead. And he says, okay, sure, I'll teach you.
let you in, yeah?
He let me in. Granted, it was the most grunt work that you could ever do.
You didn't mind.
I don't mind it.
That's where you learn.
You want to learn.
Right from the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was
Pretty amazing.
was your wife into construction at all, or real estate or anything?
She's the most, sorry, babe. She's the most prissy.
We don't have to get into this. We don't have to
prissy
divulge.
person you could ever meet. She works in advertising and, office gig, coffee one hand. and,
Oh, somebody's
meals
going to get in trouble.
Just stop, man.
But no clue whatsoever. However, she did lots of encouragement. She says, you know what? If you really want to do this, go for it.
Good.
Go for
That's
it.
good to
And
hear.
It was, I needed that because, again, society didn't see it as, at least in my opinion, didn't see construction as, again, something, let's make him a productive member of society.
Bullshit.
Like if there's a sort of felon or something, we don't all have criminal records, and even if somebody does, that doesn't mean that defines who they are today.
Speak for yourself. Will.
So,
I've been pardoned.
Dude, me and you are seeing eye to eye, man. I got no criminal records. I'm good, man. It's all good.
Oh, is that Mike there?
Yeah,
now he's
By the
talking.
way, once you know I travel, everything's clear.
I've got 2 passports, by the way. Okay, just leave it at that.
when I started, for 2 months straight, I was digging footings for a massive home, and to the point that I got carpal tunnel in my hands, and that wasn't going to deter me. I was focused. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted to do.
But nice
so.
shoulders and triceps and forearms.
Okay, so
We're talking
Great
about Will
physique.
here, right?
Great physique. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
next to the wife bringing you here or wanting to be with her, was there anything else that drew you to Canada? Because it's obviously that you were in the States for the majority of your life. Next to Dominican, right?
I was the stereotypical American. Where
What exactly does that mean? And we don't want to upset any Americans that are
being,
listening.
I'm being quite honest. I thought it was igloos and polar bears.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should see the casing I've got on my igloo.
And you know what? It's sad because I have kids,
Mine's got heated
obviously,
floors.
and they tell me their curriculum. They're like, "Oh, we learned this about the States. Did you know that in this, there was this war, and then there was this, and they know almost as much as the States as I do." Where going through the school system in the U.S., there's neighbors to the north. That's the same way neighbors to the south, and you learn very little about either.
That's it, huh?
Wow.
Neighbors to the
So-
north and neighbors to the south.
That's it.
I guess everyone likes Eskimos down there. Or Eskimo pies.
Oh, we're on the verge of getting a little political here.
I didn't mean that kind.
So 8 years ago,
I'm lost.
you get into construction and you're digging and grunt and working. And then how do you get into these luxury homes?
I came through the ranks with that one company with a lot of fight. I fought for everything that I did because
You proved yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't think because I didn't have the time that they thought or deemed necessary to do that job. I literally had to fight at every stage of the way. So then what ended up happening is that we lost a pregnancy, and the owner of the company at the time, when I came back, because I needed to come back just for mental stability, it was just consuming me. So when I came back, he says, "Well, we need to talk." And I said, "Sure, not a problem." So the first words out of his mouth is actually, "I lose too much money when you're not here." So I said,
Wow.
"Great. If those are the first words out of your mouth, there's a bigger conversation to be had, and that's I'll give you to the end of the week because I know you're in a jam, and I'm gone."
Is this the same guy that gave you the opportunity?
The same guy.
Wow.
Same guy.
So you had to fight for position through all the guys that he had already hired.
Exactly.
Prove yourself.
Yep.
And even you had to go above and beyond the rest of
Absolutely.
the guys that were there to prove to them that this was you cared more than they did. For him
Absolutely.
to see the difference.
The problem with him was, and again, I try not to speak badly about anybody, but he's very money driven. I was the guy that when they were falling behind on a project, I was brought in to speed it up. I was fast. I was naturally fast. I learned from his foreman, which was very fast. So I learned the speed from him. And then I learned the skill from everybody else, and as well as videos and everything else that I saw. So
You don't think the military helped at all? Like, being a cop
Mindset?
or in the
Yeah.
military?
It prepares you mentally. One thing that I find with the military, and this is something that not a lot of people actually speak about, is that the military, of sorts, is an authoritative kind of training, where it's like you're told what to do, how to do it, how fast to do it, and everything else like that. So if some of that is not already in you, it's not really gonna stick. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times you find guys that were in the military, and once they come out, they end up being overweight, or they become, aside from all the mental illness, which we all know that's a real thing. I've gone through my share of it. Outside of all of that, if it's not in you, it's almost like a kid where you tell your kids, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. They may do it when you're around, but the minute you turn around, they're not gonna
not gonna
do
do it,
anything.
yeah.
So same thing with the military.
My wife does the same thing to me.
I grew up in a very
Military position?
One of my favorite positions.
I grew up in a very strict household, and my grandfather, who's more my father than anybody else, was very strict. I once got a beating because he called
Oh,
me.
hang on a sec. Who got beat as a kid?
Oh, buddy.
Other hand, I was beat.
You can't see my hands. My hands are everywhere.
If I looked at my father the wrong way, I got beat.
Yeah, no, seriously.
We were just talking about this last week where we came up from a certain kind of household.
My
It's
dad threw a
interesting.
friggin' pool cue at me like a javelin,
Okay.
and it went right through the fucking
We
drywall.
don't need to go into court documents,
across,
all right?
you're across the table from a police officer.
Oh, sorry. I could tell you
love you, Dad.
stories. I could tell
Listen,
you
I'm
stories,
Portuguese,
man.
and there's belts, and
Yeah,
there's pieces of
got it all.
wood, and there's
Mom cracked the
spoons. And then
spatula
when they
over my
break
head.
the spoon,
Yeah.
they get upset at you because the
Manny.
spoon broke from
Yeah.
hitting you.
Ask him how I learned how to swim.
I don't want to know this.
Throw him in the lake.
I don't want to
Let
know
him
this.
swim.
I don't want to know this. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No worries. Again, growing up, I once got a beating just because Dominican culture, when somebody older than you calls you sir, man, and all of that, because I said yes.
Wow. You win.
I said yes. Wow. They said, Willie, my childhood nickname. And I said yes. And I knew it was my grandfather, but I wasn't thinking or something. And I said, yeah, I got a beating just for that.
Wow.
But I said yes.
So in the military, it was a joke to me. And the discipline and everything else, because I already had it coming up. I was the type of kid growing up that I would go and, at the time, I couldn't even afford it. It was the Gap. I would go to the Gap, undo the racks, so I could learn how to refold it again. The way that they did it. And so the military was nothing to me, in the sense that, all my stuff was always, on point. Everything was always folded nicely because it was already in me.
Yeah.
So again, they teach you and they can enhance what you already know, but if it's not in you, it's just like a strict parent where you listen to them to get by, and then it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Do you transfer that onto your job sites with your guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I had amazing role models and amazing leaders in the military. To this day, I've studied a lot of leadership styles and everything like that, and I always end up coming back to the military. For a long time, I fought it because I had a lot of PTSD. And I always said, I need to keep what happened there, and what happened in the police force there, because no one understands. Like, I would talk about, a shooting or a gunfight or something, and no one can relate. So it's like, the people that want to know, I'll talk about it, but the reality is the connection's not there. Like, anyone that's been through, I can just look in their eyes, and they don't even have to tell the story. Yeah, so for a long time, I kept everything separate. Like, the whole life. It's almost like the military, the police didn't even exist to a certain degree, because that's how far back I kept it. But then as once I didn't even get into this, but once I started running my own business, naturally a lot of those things started coming out. I'm like, wait a second, like I did this in the military. Maybe I can actually use this part. Or, okay, so little by little, I actually started bringing back, and everything kind of started coming back full circle, where for the first time in my life, I was actually able to bring, and this is the beauty of construction. This is the part that no one talks about. It's how colorful we are. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about skin color. It's like every single background that everybody did is what makes the construction industry what it is today.
Yep.
So in my case, I was able to bring the team building of every person, and just the way that I operate into my own business. So it was a blessing.
Well, it's not just a business. You're one of the better guys. Like, you're one of the real guys that really care.
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, that's why you're here. You're making a difference.
We only talk to guys who care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm leading to. Is like the truth is everything you do in your house, in the houses that you build, you really care about. And a lot of guys don't.
Yeah, I really.
So, how many houses are you building at one time right now?
I do no more than 3 at any given point. Right now, I have 2 on the go, just because one of them is my personal, and I found out. No, one thing I learned is I will never build or renovate my own personal home ever again.
How's your wife doing with that one?
Well,
Or is it more there we go. Or is it more you?
It's a sore spot. It's a sore spot. But the one thing I realized is I actually care more. Sadly, I care more for clients' home
Really?
I do.
You know what?
I've
Like,
always-
I can agree to that. My house is.
I do. It's like
I don't think it's that you
I don't know.
appreciate the client's house more. It's just that your house can always wait.
Yeah, that's
just
exactly
it.
it.
Yeah.
That's just it. And it's also the fact that I almost find myself that I have too much information, and because there's so many emotions attached to it, I find myself that it renders me useless in a way where it's like, okay, but wait, no, I could do this automation system. Or if I go with that. And it's like, but my wife is not going to like it, so I can't really go there. So,
My house, renovation wise, is strictly experiments. Try everything in my house. If it works, then I'll take it out there.
No, it's true.
I'm with you there.
One
I'm
post
with
is
you
different
there.
from the other. He's got like 3 different crown moldings. I'm like,
Whatever
which
was
one
left
are
on
you
the job
choosing?
site.
He's like, well, I haven't really put my money. I think maybe that one.
I can understand that.
Do you have a designer on your house?
It got to the point that I actually had to call in my designers and said, listen, I can't even make a single decision here.
Wow.
I have too many emotions and everything else. So I had to call her in for help. And I said, just manage it. I want to know nothing. Deal with my wife.
Really? Yeah?
Did the designer take any pressure off the relationship?
She did. She
Wow.
did. She really did. You
So-
know what? For the first time, because up until that point, I honestly have to say, it gave me a greater, not that I didn't before, but it gave me an even greater appreciation for my clients. Because now I understood the husband and wife dynamic that goes into a renovation.
I find that entertaining. I just find it
But
so entertaining.
now I'm in the driver's seat of that. Where
See, I haven't been there yet.
Where before we're always spectators, right? We're always spectators, and as professionals, we keep our opinions and everything else to ourselves. But
Not me.
No, not you.
but for the first time, I'm in it. I'm the one going through it. So now it was just, anyways, it was a big eye opener. It was a big eye opener.
Now you didn't find that with everything that you've learned over the last few years, and we've talked about this. Me being in 30 years, you 9, you 15. It really doesn't matter how many years you're in it. You can, if you're open minded and you're a fast learner, you can learn it all, and you can do it all.
Yes, but that wasn't always my mentality, because this is when the military kind of messed me up in the sense. And sorry, guys, for any military person out there listening, I don't mean it that way, but you'll understand. In the military, they teach you so well. They really do. They grind things in you. You do things over and over and over until you actually get perfection. Bringing that mentality now into construction, for the longest time, my wife was the biggest supporter of my decision and everything that went along with it. She said, babe, you're ready to do your own thing. And I said, no, I'm not. I need to go to school. I need to get this certification and that certification. And I need this accreditation and this and that. And I held myself back longer than I should have, because that's the way that I thought that things needed to operate.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago, use other people's education and their abilities to organize, or myself organize a group of people that have all those courses or certifications and make them do what I need to do.
And not just that, and there's a lot to be said of people that go through trial and error, because I did benefit from a lot of the mishaps and mistakes that other contractors did. So I use that to my advantage. And I also met a lot of scholarly contractors. Quite frankly, some of them were even doing things wrong. And I said, okay, so now I know that that's not really the case.
I come from the school where it's just because you went to school doesn't mean that you're
That's
better
just
at it.
That's just it.
You're only as good as the work that you're doing today.
Yeah,
That's all.
But really curious for myself, and I mean, this is probably a little bit prying into your financial, but you need money to run a business. You need money to start building your own homes. How did you find that source, or how can you help them find their dreams and motivate them to find that
for
source?
those who don't know you, I mean, you're doing more expensive homes, like upper luxury homes, right?
10,000 square feet plus?
Yeah. So it's like, how do you all of a sudden just drop into that kind of market? Because that is a little bit of a niche market.
Well, it's a huge jump.
It was a big jump. And to backtrack on your question, because when it comes, I'm kind of glad that you brought up the financials, because that's something that doesn't generally come up a lot in contractor conversations. We talk about it amongst ourselves, but not to the general public. For me to venture into what I did, leave a complete career to the side and everything else, with a family, a young family, because now obviously my wife's kids are my kids. It was a financial hit. Luckily, my wife at the time had the salary to kind of do that, and I do get a pension and everything else from the state, so there was a little bit of leeway there. So I was very fortunate that one, where I had the freedom to be able to explore a little bit like that. What ended up happening is I went on my own, and I had this one project that almost broke me, which is the tiniest bathroom ever.
It's always the little bathrooms.
Yeah, but before that, I actually used to work for a developer, an international developer, and I actually did his own personal home, which ended up being 18,600 and something square feet.
Wow. Holy shit.
And
Holy
big,
cow.
big. And this is why I do the things that I do, because he took a chance on me.
That was your first?
That was my first
18,000 square feet?
That was my first house. And
wow.
And it's just
But that was the same with me. Is I still question to this day the couple that hired me for the very first time. It was like, I don't know what the fuck I said or what I did, but I convinced them in a way that they said, okay, we'll take a chance on you who's never built a house before. Yep. And then you do it. And I think it might have had something to do with me always telling them, I've got everything to gain and I got everything to lose. I mean, I got to behave here. I got to give you exactly plus.
But I think you're underselling yourself, Manny, and I not knowing the story or anything like that. I'll go back a little bit into what this gentleman saw in me at the time, and the interaction started because he saw me sweeping, and he said, "You know what? The way you sweep, how methodical you are with the way you sweep, makes me think about me when I was a kid." And I said, awesome, cool. You know, here's this big shot that I was too shy to really speak to at the time. But nonetheless, it opened the door. After that, I said, listen, I would love for you to mentor me because you're very successful. And not that I want your wealth, I want your knowledge. And through conversations, he got to know me a little bit better. He took the chance on me, 100% took the chance on me, not being at the caliber that he, and again, before that, he had hired the top guys, like the top project managers and everything like that, and nothing worked out. And then he takes this kid, relatively speaking, and he says, I want to give you the chance. I said, and I would fight him along the way. I said, I'm not ready. Like, I don't have 20.
He felt you were ready, though?
He did.
Really?
Well, he would know. He would know.
He would know. But I said to him, I don't have 20 years on the job. Like, I don't have this training or that. But he says, no, I want you to do it.
You're a great manager. He probably saw that in you. I learned a long time ago, you don't need to know a product to be able to sell it or put a team together to make it.
Yeah.
You just need to be really good at organizing people.
He liked the attention that I put into everything. And to your point, yes, they took a chance on you. They might have taken a chance on you. But the reality is that they saw the one gift that I have that I actually learned from him is the ability to see beyond people's ability of what they think of themselves. And I really learned this from him.
Yeah.
So I always take my guys and I said, okay, I see you at this level and I'm going to push you until you make it to this level. And I think that couple saw beyond your situation. Mm-hmm. They saw, for sure, there was a characteristic that they saw or something in your person, which we probably all know and see today, because the reality is you're just a more knowledgeable person than you were so many years ago. But all the same traits and everything else.
He's talking about me,
Manny.
Yeah.
So again,
no, he's talking about John Smith. Okay.
but Will, so really,
keep the $100 Manny gave you.
What I get from this is your first opportunity never came from a homeowner. Your first opportunity came from a builder.
Yes.
And that's where the math is different. That's where the math is different for me. I was always looking for someone that owned a home that wanted a renovation, and I stayed in that. Where you went right to the top and skipped that.
Yes.
And you found someone that actually saw something in you and you proved it to them.
Yes.
So in between money, in between learning, in between building, where's the time? Because we all know anyone in renovations, you're a builder, I'm in renovations, we're really the same animal, just different end of the business.
I had no life.
So do you still have time now?
So right now...
So for 8 years you had no life, or like for the beginning of it?
Yeah, so backtracking just a bit. So that house took us 3 years to finish it.
18,000.
How did you carry yourself on that?
It was a bit of a financial hit. I'm not going to lie, because for a lot of things, I didn't know how to price things properly.
Yep, you learn.
So, and I learned, boy, did I learn.
You bought a lot of tools, huh?
I did. So...
Oh, well, wait a second. I have to ask this.
Or are you, what color tool man
Oh
are you?
my
No,
goodness.
shut up.
Come on, Will.
Okay, fine. Do it. Do a real quick speed round on tools here, all right? Will, what's your favorite tool? Just say yellow. Just say yellow, okay?
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
I'm blue.
There are preferences. There's preferences there, but needless to say, backtracking to your conversation, huge learning curve. The world was my oyster at that point, because again, like there was talks of flying me out to all these different countries to build and everything like that.
Wow.
For him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he had huge developments in Dubai and Costa Rica and all over the place.
Whoa.
Huge opportunity.
Wow.
Is he looking for anyone else right now?
And, what is his name?
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be walking around.
The reality is, I wanted something of my own. I after being in it, and because I wanted, not that I wanted control, but I wanted to have an impact. Something that I did that on my own name and everything else. So when I left, I literally had to start from the bottom. So back to your conversation, like, yes, I had that initial opportunity, but then I had to fall back to that one small bathroom. That was my first job on my own, which again, it was like, I don't even know, it was like 60 square feet.
That's
or something
really
like
funny.
that.
You're going from 18,000 square feet to 100.
But you know what?
It's always that small bathroom. It always costs a fortune.
I don't want to say that I'm not a prideful dude, but the reality is certain things happen in life where your pride gets tested. And that was certainly one of them, because it nearly broke me. The tiniest bathroom almost broke me. And again, big financial hit, because I came from, not that I wasn't making, or not that I didn't break even during that house or anything like that, but I lost even more money during the smaller job. And here I am starting, and I'm like,
But you're learning, though.
I'm learning.
I've lost as well, too, but I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
Right?
So
Losing every day.
from there,
Well, you learn from your mistakes.
yeah. So, Carlito, to answer your question, from there, I started getting more small jobs. But because that big house was part of my resume, people that would never consider me, if I can do an 18,000 plus square foot home, I can do a 10,000. I can do a 12,000. So that's how things started kind of coming.
I can't even imagine the steps on an 18,000 square foot. I mean, the house here, I'm doing about an average of 15,000 steps a day.
Do you find yourself on the tools a lot, or are you overseeing more?
Overseeing more.
Quality,
Overseeing more.
attention to detail.
What I find is that the more you are, and this is my experience, everyone's different, everyone's capabilities is different. What I find is that the longer that I'm on the tools, the more that I miss, because I'm so focused on, getting that miter or getting that measurement done properly that, John and Bob are over there, doing something that I can catch before they even do it. So I sadly, I kind of been off the tools for quite some time now.
So are they your guys, or are you subbing?
I sub everything.
Same guys always.
These are the same guys.
I love subs.
Yeah. These are the same guys, like Manny.
BLTs.
These are the same guys that I started from way back when.
Well, listen, one of the things we keep making jokes about, but it's serious, and even how your story started and how maybe all of our stories started is we're that one guy that someone like us really wants but can never find, and we end up in our own business running our own company, and the only way to get that kind of pride or that kind of workmanship is to hire someone.
Yeah.
That's the next step, though. Like, I'm in the same boat. You guys are eventually going to be in that boat. We're all going to be rowing, right? But it's just like, you have to do it that way. We can't do everything. You shouldn't do everything.
No, I
Plus,
agree.
We should be passing it on. And I mean, I would love for just fate to have a kid come onto your job site and go, I'm looking for a job, and just have that same scenario, right? And then you pass that on. I'm itching to pass on the stuff that I know.
I gotta say, and
Itching to pass
thank
that on? Please keep it to yourself.
I'm excited to teach other people.
I gotta say, I don't get that same. And thank you for introducing me to social media the way you have.
I don't know shit about that.
But what I find is that I get more and more interest of the younger guys coming in the industry. They say, hey, thank you for the message. And generally don't like doing this, but I've actually opened my doors more and more to say, okay, shadow me for a day.
Why don't you like doing it? I thought you
because I like to teach. I like to teach a lot.
Yeah.
And everything I do is about teaching. But what ends up happening is that now when I'm walking through site, I'm in my own head. I'm in the same. I'm looking around. So now when I have to stop, point something out that I'm seeing,
you pull out of it.
I'm pulled out of it a bit. So generally speaking, I pick and choose how and if I do that. But lately I've been doing a little bit more of that.
I'm the same way, and then try to give a kid a shot, and then all of a sudden if they just start fucking up after fucking up, but I just kind of...
Yeah. It is a
Gotta
challenge.
have that talk. So how is the world with building large homes? Is there a lot of competition? Do you find it more enjoyable? Do you find the customers are better?
All right, sorry, too many questions. From me and you, I don't know about parking attendant boy here.
You know what? That fucking asshole got the parking right in front of his door. You know?
We've got the doors open for the first time
And
because it's such a lovely day. And
driving.
Mikey's just looking at parking spots that are available now.
So following the small jobs, again, I'll try to answer all your questions in one sec. I was doing an addition over a garage and was doing it. It wasn't the world's biggest job or anything like that, but we do the same thing in every job that we go to. And towards the end, this lady pops by and she says, "Hey, I have some drawings that I would like for you to build a home." And I said, "Okay, sure, not a problem. Let's meet." I met with them. It ended up being a fairly sizable addition. It was like a 6,000 plus square foot addition. And I said, "Okay, awesome." But with that conversation, they saw me working every day. And on top of that,
People love people hands-on.
Yeah. So once they saw what I was capable
Okay.
What?
Manny puts his hand up and says, "Stop."
Not everybody likes people hands-on. I'm just saying, okay?
Are we talking about the TV network?
I don't know what we're talking about here. Sorry.
So anyways, once they see the resume and everything else, okay, if he can manage that, he can manage this. And from there, it's just a matter of, I've been very fortunate. It's been 100% kind of word of mouth. They'll see a sign somewhere.
Best businesses are.
Wow.
They'll see my sign somewhere and they say, "Hey, I want this guy to."
But they'll see you and they'll see your crew, which is a reflection of you. They'll see your signage. They'll see that the job site's clean. They'll see all these breadcrumbs. They're really important.
I spend a lot of time. One of my biggest pet peeves are for you, Mikey, and not that you do
Parking?
it, but it's cigarette butts. I can't stand cigarette butts and coffee cups.
Wow.
Too big.
Me too.
My big pet peeve.
Me too.
Whatever.
Mikey's more about the bucket that goes from orange to brown.
Sure, whatever you say there, buddy. I'm the same way, man. I don't like seeing cigarette butts everywhere, and you got to keep it clean, obviously.
Yeah, but Manny, to answer your question, so with a lot of people are being more conservative in the way that they build, and they want to be more energy efficient. So I built myself a bit of a niche where I build ICF. For those of you that don't know, it's insulated concrete forms. When it comes to that, there aren't a lot of builders that
do it that way.
That do it that way. A lot of people are doing a lot of. I actually met, funny enough, and I must say this, I met with a really big architect a few days ago, and he was trying to coerce the clients not to build ICF. This is
Why was that?
Well, they threw a number out there. They said we've built over 1,600 houses, and out of that, maybe 5 has been a combination of foundations and or full to the roof ICF. And I'm like, really? Because my number is more of the opposite, where every single one of my homes has been ICF. So, and it became this thing. It kind of really gave me a lot of insight that. So we started talking through it, and they said, "What has been your experience? Why are you so against it?" Mm-hmm. Well, we had blowouts, we had this, and I was like, "Well, this is the difference between experience and inexperience,
or cheating yourself on forming."
Yeah,
you still have to put forms up.
Yeah, so an inexperienced ICF builder, there are tons of mistakes. I have the benefit of having a really senior ICF foundation guy. Where this guy, he worked with Ambic for many years. Actually made Ambic.
I actually have a certification for ICF for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took the
So why was this architect so concerned? He's not going to be on site.
It was all school thinking. Nothing but all school
Well,
thinking.
yeah, because A, B, C, D, this is how I build a house.
This is it.
So now you're giving...
The interest, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this was so funny to me because they're constant. This is like their technology guy within the firm, right? So he's like, well, but this is code. This is code. And I'm like, really? Okay, good. Because the reality is code means nothing to me. The reality is houses that I built a long time ago, not only do they meet current code, anything that's been updated, but they surpass it. So it's like, what are you telling me by that? It means nothing to me. So anyways.
It was just going against their grain of the way they build.
It's going against their comfort.
And they don't want to think more than what they are getting paid to think.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so it's like kiss my ass and move on. And that's right.
And circling back on the question, I think that it's just I did kind of build myself a bit of a niche that way. And because what I do and the sizing, people are like, okay, he gets it, he can do it, he can handle it.
But you were hungry to try other things, and you learned about ICF.
So I guess you're building 5-star homes then, right? Energy efficient.
I do the best I can.
Well, if you're using you're using ICF, you're already talking about thermal break, right?
It's a very airtight home for sure. Yeah.
I'd like to try it one day. I'm curious about ICF. I'm definitely going to give you a call.
Well, I'm going to bring you on to my next one.
And what drew you to that company? Like my favorite is IntegraSpect. So what is it about that it's ICF that you like?
The building aspect of it, or the company of ICF
the actual form.
Well, I was fortunate enough where that one builder that gave me a chance, that's all he did.
Okay.
So when I saw everything go up, and then I compared to some houses we would just come in to do the foundation, let's say, and then I would see the progress and see, weigh the pros and cons cost-wise and everything. I'm like, okay, I know where I want to stay. And don't get me wrong, like I did a lot of research. There was a lot of research on my part just to make sure that whatever I'm suggesting to clients is actually something that is going to be beneficial to them.
Yeah.
So that's...
You're not making a decision based on money. You're making a decision on this home.
Not at all. Yeah,
based on the family and the clients and their home, right? So,
but typically that's what you're pushing on every one of your homes that you're building now. Or do you build to the drawings?
With a certain, at the level that I'm dealing with, you're dealing with very educated individuals. Like they've already done the homework before you get there. They can have trade talks with you because they've done that much research. So
I would love that.
No, seriously.
Look how excited he is.
I would love that.
Seriously, they do so much.
We're gonna lose Manny. He's gonna be doing 18,000 square foot homes.
It's like the person who's giving me the checks is actually carrying a conversation. Oh wait, hang on.
Not only
my current clients listen to this.
Not only can they have a conversation, but there's genuine interest. It's not just like, oh, how is this wall going together? It's like, oh, okay, so you're using this. It's amazing. It is amazing. So reality is not a pitch that I do. I just present options and they choose ultimately because they've done a hell of a lot of research that they already know what they want to go with. They just want to make sure that the person that they're choosing can handle what they want to do.
So do I take it that most of the homes that you're building are stucco?
No.
Okay.
No. And that's a common misconception. Because it's ICF.
That's an ICF foundation. You're not doing the
house.
whole house. Oh, you're doing the whole house ICF? Oh, really?
Whole house. So the common misconception is that because it's a foam block.
Inside and outside.
Inside and outside, that is just, let's say, for a stucco application.
It's really about the webbing that changes it, right?
I've yet to do a stucco ICF home because it's usually, I've done everything from brick to stone.
So you just lintel it all the way around and then build up?
No, there's a special block. It's a brick ledge block that actually becomes part of the foundation. So that becomes your step on which you put your stone and everything like that.
Right. Like a bench wall instead of an underpinning.
I need to bring you guys out. I really
love
to.
Field trip.
You
really
should bring us out.
Yes. My wife gets on me all the time because I say really a lot.
Well,
Mike's gonna want to know if there's parking there, right?
Yeah, that's the last thing.
I'll make sure it's in the country next time.
Thanks, buddy.
Mike.
I'm there.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've only met you through Manny,
yes.
And now I've seen you a few times at any home shows or anything that we were at. You're always involved in new technology.
Yes.
I find that wherever something's going on, you're always there. So that FBI work of yours is really paying off.
I'm a sucker for learning. I'm a sucker for
But that's
learning.
why we're here, right? We want to learn.
That's just it. It's a continual learning experience because so many things change all the time that you have to do proper service to a client and this is something you guys are all great at. To do proper service to a client, it's not just about how well you can build a house, how up to date you are with the technology that's around you. Because the reality is okay, if I'm just doing, let's say, just bad installation, and I'm not educating the clients to every other option that's out there,
Right.
I'm not providing great customer service.
You're not.
So you have to stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is more for any young. These guys are already doing it, but the reality is, this message is more for the young guys out there, guys and girls out there. Don't fall into the trap of I know how to build a house.
No, there's several ways to do each step of the house.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
just don't get stuck in the one way that most people tell you to do it. Find out yourself.
Well, a lot of times too, it's not even the builder; it's the actual engineer that's telling you how to build it. And you have to correct him sometimes.
Oh, I love those conversations.
Happens all the time.
You know, like I'll go to an architect and he'll tell me a material and I'll say I don't want to use that. I want to use this, and
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
"Well, this is how I do it." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe this isn't the guy I can work with, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But another story.
It's a very.
What happened to that guy?
I'm not working with them.
I've taken homes where it's gone from architectural drawings into a design build because there was nothing in there that I could work with. Everything was off.
So let's get back to the money.
Yeah. No, please.
Show
please,
me the
please,
money.
Please.
So basically, what is the trick to trying to grow your business and not be a renovator? Like me and Mike are renovators. Manny's a custom builder. You are a large custom builder. And you're building for yourself now, or are you still building for clients?
Still building for clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you take that transition? What are the steps that you can...
Well,
Give
first
out.
thing, what I would like to say is that in life, there's never any shortcuts. I was very fortunate in some of the jumps that I've been able to do. If you're going from small renovations and if that's what you're doing, you need to put yourself in certain circles. There's a lot of networking that kind of needs and should happen. For any young person out there, in the beginning when I first started, I was sending letters to every single architect in the neighborhood, to every single architect that I wanted to work with.
Threatening them?
No, just saying, hey, John, hey, Mary, I really love your work. I would love to work together with you on a project.
You get responses?
No, half of the time. Actually, no, not a single time. Not a single time. Not a single.
Wait, did they just get it and thought, who's this joker? What's this?
I was a nobody.
He's
at
not
the
related
time.
to me,
I was
and he's not
yeah.
family. He's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
I'm not gonna give him a shot.
I was a nobody, but again, I'm very restless like that. Where it's like if I don't have something going on, I explore every single option out there. I'm very careful not to say design, build, construction, or something like that, because I was speaking with a builder out of Calgary. I network a lot, so I meet a lot of people. So I was bigger than me, actually, in my opinion. And he was saying,
you.
no, but what he was saying, he said, Will, you're lucky that you didn't go design, build, renovate, or anything like that. And I said, why? I said, well, because we do a design in-house. And doing that, and this is more for any young person out there as well, we blocked ourselves from working with any other architect in the area because they now thought that we were a threat
True.
more than we can
Yep.
collaborate
Yep, very
with
much.
them. So I said, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for sharing that because I didn't know better. But not that I was going to go that route, but I network a lot. I meet other builders. I kind of pick their brain, and not that that's gained me any business or anything like that. You learn and pick up different things, and even just to be in the right circles to maybe meet certain people.
Do clients bring the architect to you and the designer to
They
you?
bring everybody.
They bring everybody to you.
everybody.
Holy
So
jeez.
my
So
aunt-
you got to
we
get
gotta
along
start
with
building
everybody in
some
the
20,000
sandbox.
square foot home.
and this is where the military comes in, because you
Oh,
learn
wow.
you learn tact.
Okay.
On how to deal, because there's a lot of egos, man. Some of these rooms are full of egos.
No shot.
So you have to.
No.
You have to.
One day I'll walk in with the word ego.
You have to be. You have to keep your composure and
Wow.
and learn how to get along with everybody, because
Okay, I'm
it's
staying
their
put.
it's their people. It's their people. It's open on my network.
People, place, and things.
It's open on my network in the sense that because otherwise my letter never got to them. And I'm actually working with an architect that I've sent letters and everything. And even like the first time I got published, I sent them a copy of that magazine article. Nothing.
Because they're probably looking at it going, fucker.
So anyways, But because the clients bring their own people, it has expanded my network that way, for sure. 100%.
It's amazing.
So this is, first I'll say something and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Perfect.
So me and Mike are talking about trying to step it up one game and get into custom building ourselves. I'll just for fun, I want to call it Carlito's Homes, okay? And I want to have a pole in the middle for people to dance with. That would be my trademark for my homes. What would be your? I'm just joking, by the way. No, what are you known for? What are you known for in your homes? I was just making a little joke right there.
I was watching Mike throughout the whole explanation.
Everyone was looking at me like a pole in the middle.
I can guarantee you that if we do go to the next notch, there's going to be plenty of parking. In the homes that I built.
He said he was going to bring it up 4 times. Is that for you?
I think it's been a half a dozen times.
But Will, you must be known next to the quality of the homes and people enjoying working with you.
Yeah, I'm curious.
There must be something that you're known for.
Okay, next to ICF and everything else like that, I'm a people person. It's just who I am. So I get along great. So there's a client-builder relationship where we become friends. Like I still call my first clients and we still chat regularly, just kind of like as friends.
Well, sure, you lived there for 5 years. You just built an 18,000 square foot.
Yeah, but even on the small ones, actually, I following the conversation that we had a while back regarding that small renovation, I actually went out and I met with that previous client. And
Wicked.
so it's been amazing. But I'm known to make clients fall in love with every aspect of their home. And specifically, I'm talking about mechanical rooms. I love mechanical rooms. I'm the biggest nerd when it comes to that.
Manny, look at this.
Seriously. So
Manny loves his mechanical room too. Rubber floors, everything.
You have to. You have to. The way that you explain it to people is that the reality is the heart of your home. The house is a living organism, and this is the part that makes it function. It just controls everything.
I've had clients tell me I don't give a fuck about that room. Word for word.
I believe you. I believe you because I've gotten into conversations with the clients that I said, look, I build mechanicals a certain way. If you want it differently, I don't know how to build it differently.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Because you're thinking about, this is the one room that's going to be constantly serviced. Every other room is being used, but this room is being serviced. So you need to plan this room out properly for all the trades that are going to be coming in here to service that room.
To service and for functionality so that things aren't breaking down when you need them the most, which is where it's bound to happen. So I spend a lot of time.
Sub pumps.
Yeah.
Panels.
So I spend a lot of time.
You should get a peek at the one downstairs.
I spend a lot of time educating the clients on it to the point that I convert them. Because it makes sense. I just explain it to them, say, look, there's a reason why, a Mercedes costs this much or why a Kia costs this much. Like, you choose which one you want
I
to
could
drive.
see you selling them that because then the homeowners are going to appreciate it because then you're going to show them how to not be intimidated by this room.
Absolutely.
Because sure, for an average homeowner walking into that room, you're like, what the hell is going on in here?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you can show them how to just maintain this come fall, come spring, come whatever, they'll appreciate that. And all of a sudden they go, Will taught us this.
No matter how complicated the mechanical room, if something were to fail, I can literally get on the phone and without a video, I can tell them, go to this panel. It's labeled this.
Oh, wow.
It's colored this.
Wow.
What is it reading? Because it's usually a gauge. Okay, it should be reading this. Adjust this or turn that. And away I go. In essence, it's selfish because I'm limiting my service time, but I'm making it feasible to them where they're not being held hostage by a service technician.
I take it you're building smart homes then.
Very smart home.
All right.
That's the next step.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting into it.
Do you still leave something that's mechanical so that when the smart, fails? So I always love having that. I like having no dead ends.
There's always I'll give you an example. So I like to experiment. So in my home, I'm actually installing a fin, which is the Uponor fin. But because it is automated, I'm also creating a manual overdrive. And I'm also creating a backup so that I'm not dependent on it. Same thing with the automation system.
That doesn't void any warranty or anything like that?
No, because it's in the event of, I have a generator, but in the event of a power failure, you need to be able to work around it. Yeah. Same thing with the, let's say with the automation. With the automation, I'm doing backups in the closets for every floor so that if let's say the Wi-Fi goes down where you no longer have, depending on the system that you use, there's a manual backup for it. So
Holy
there's
shit.
always
And Manny's building homes.
everything.
You can't even get Wi-Fi in the house because they are
Because
like,
I am manual.
no, because you're blocking those.
That was good.
But you're blocking those currents
Hang
from
on.
coming in.
I'm denying all that. I'm still trying to figure out why that's happening, okay? I'm going to point the finger at the EMF paint upstairs. That's where I'm pointing. Even though it's not connected, I'm still pointing it there. You got any questions there, Mikey? Parking boy, you've been quiet. What's going on?
Good, man. I'm taking it all in.
Where's the
Listening.
business going? Where do you see yourself going?
Great question.
Great question.
Question.
So where I see the business going is I've gotten lots of offers to go the money route, which I've turned down.
And can I ask you what that would be?
So a lot of realtors and developers and everything else, I've gotten offers to build subdivisions essentially. But
you could change subdivisions.
You can't.
you can't. You got stakeholders and there's a lot of people at play.
So you're staying loyal to yourself.
They will
and-
change him before
Yeah.
he changes them.
Well, they're not because he's staying loyal to himself.
One thing I learned, and this is me personally, I cannot speak for anybody. There may be guys that are doing this the right way and everything else, but me personally, in the police department, it's one of those things that you either go to a group mentality or you keep true to yourself. And if you realize that you can't change the greater force around you, then you come to a decision. You either do what you got to do to get through it or whatever those coping mechanisms may be. And for me, being away from it wasn't a bad thing because there was a lot of battles that I couldn't fight, that I knew that wasn't going to win. So same thing in a subdivision scenario when you have stakeholders and everything comes down to the penny and everything else. And again, this is me with my limited knowledge of subdivision work, but I just don't choose to go that route. So therefore, there's a lot of offers that I turn down all the time. So where I see the business going is I know that that's not the route that I want to go. Eventually, I would like to build spec homes, but the problem with spec homes is that, and not a problem, you get to put your footprint on it and, you design it and everything else. But a lot of times clients come up to me with plans and I'm like, holy crap, this is really cool. I never thought about this. So I kind of like the fact that I'm building for clients.
You don't like cookie cutters.
I don't. I like complexity. The more complex a project is, the more intrigued I am by it.
Yeah,
So
me too.
I want to get to the stage where I become even more selective of what I do. I only pick the projects that are fun, that fit the company, that, it's either, the 5 Fs I call it.
And those are?
They're fortune, because they have to be financially viable. Fortune fit, they have to fit what the company entails. Because the reality is, and I'll give you an example. I'll stop right there. I'll give you an example. My HVAC guy, I met him at a trade show many, many years ago. And I liked what he was about. And I said, one day I'm going to work with you. I just said that to him. And from the time that I made that promise, it took a year before I actually got to work with him. And that was because I made him the promise. I said, look, I want to work with you, but I want a project that suits you. I want a project that I'm going to be able to give you the freedom to do what it is that you do. Because that's one thing I learned. I learned that if you're great at something, let them go. And let them flourish on their own because they may actually surprise you.
You obviously liked what he had to say.
I just loved his character. And again, back to like the one gift that I have is that I see potential in people. And I knew what he was about just from my first interaction. And I wanted to see that flourish. Fit, fortune, which is just financial. Fame, if you're not going to get anything else, you might as well get some publicity out of it. Because
I don't give a fuck about the fame.
So fame, hold on,
love
because
fame.
I always forget.
No, I thought you meant the show.
The movie? I still got leg warmers.
Yeah. So then the other one is future, which is something that
my favorite.
which is something that's never been done before. So I'm a big believer in just trying new things and pushing. So and just to recap again, just to make sure I didn't miss one is so fit,
fortune, fame, fun,
future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, those are good.
Pretty cool, man.
So
they're wicked.
normally speaking, you want to hit at the very least 2 of those Fs. It's the way that
I'm going after all
Well,
five.
Wow.
with Mike, I got almost all of them. Starting with the fun. This guy is fun.
Yeah.
And then I got future.
No, it's great. But I just want to.
And now I'm looking for fame.
But with the fame, it's funny because the reality is I could care less about it. What ends up happening is that it becomes assurance, and it becomes a badge that the guys can now wear. It's like, okay, guys, you guys did an amazing job, and now you're being recognized for it. And here it is.
Yeah.
Like all the awards, I usually just give them to the homeowners.
I usually put them
Do you
on.
really?
I do. I have
Here
no
we
need
go.
for it.
Pin the tail on what?
I don't want to build a shelf for anything. I'm like, you know what?
You guys probably don't know this, but at home I give Mike stickers, scratch and sniff stickers. He puts them on his wall. They're like badges. Last week he got a banana.
But it didn't smell like a banana. Huh?
Okay, so another question is, what would you change in this industry? What bothers you? What would you like to see changed?
Parking downtown.
Parking. Yeah. Good one, Manny.
I don't even have to ask Mike. I already know that one.
I'm trying to think because there are several things, obviously. It's interesting. So a few days ago, I interviewed some female contractors.
Nice.
And learned a lot. I learned a lot. So some of the things that I would like to change within the community is the equality. And I met this one contractor, to me, amazing. I couldn't even believe it. In his crew, not only does he have females, but he has gays. It was, to me, in my eyes, it was the most diverse company I've ever seen, ever, or heard of. And I said, how is that even possible? How do you get...
How did he find all these people?
The area that he works in.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah.
So,
but he's not hiring for that specific reason.
He's not
hiring
hiring
for good skilled trades.
Skilled trades.
Yeah.
And because of the environment, they're seeking him out.
That's the unfortunate thing about our industry is that it is very old school in that mentality.
Yeah.
That's changing though, and that's why we're here now too.
I think in essence, so what I'm saying by this, the one thing that I would like to change is the old school mentality, because you see it at every level along the way.
So true, huh?
Well, some things.
Yeah.
There's something that I appreciate in the old school, and that's coming to work early instead of late, putting everything into it.
But that's ethics. That's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you see it more in the old school person, but the reality is that you see that in anyone that gives a damn about, like I did the same thing. And it's not that I was old school or anything like that. It's that I cared. It's that I really wanted it. I think there's a fine line between what old school is and what it's not. And I think that that's more, you're right. Like you see it more in construction. You see it 100% more in the old school type person.
Out of all the industries out there, you see it probably the most in construction.
For sure.
So would you say that you have a fun job site, or do you find yourself a strict
Militant.
You know what? I'm a different kind of fun. Like I see Manny and I see you guys. You guys definitely are a little bit more. No.
I'm curious about where you're going with this.
You guys are definitely
You got
more.
me too.
You guys are definitely more extroverts when you label fun. That's not in me. I'm a serious guy. For the most part.
I always have fun with you.
But by nature, I'm very serious. The reason why, in the military, they used to say, I see no spit flying and no veins popping. That was the sign of intensity. And those were two things that came very naturally to me. I have a vein that literally pops in the middle of my forehead, and the spit flying all the time.
So note that anyone that works for you to watch for the vein.
But I run a pretty. I like to think that I run a pretty tight ship in terms of responsibility and everything else like that. But what I do is that I try to find the balance to make sure that whether it's at some point throughout the day or even at the end of the day, to spend time with the guys. Say, hey, what did you learn today? If it's a new guy, I said, look, I don't care if you're sweeping. What did you learn today? Because if you didn't, I'm going to teach you something.
So do you have employees?
No, I used to. Currently, I don't. And that's only because I'm actually looking for my next project manager. That's all I need, in my opinion. That's what works for me. But I try not to have employees. I've been through the stage where I had 10, and it was just...
I haven't even gotten into that stage. I don't want to get into that stage.
By you guys doing this podcast as well, you're also gaining legitimacy. And not to say that you were not legitimate before, but it's like, here's a subject expert in construction. Here's somebody that's really pushing the bounds into bettering the industry and doing this for the industry. And now you're respected at a whole other level, where before it may just be for your craftsmanship or, you know, for your
Just say
attitude.
it, man. Our jokes.
Well, no.
No,
But now you're respected at a different level. It's like, here's somebody that's really trying to elevate where they are and where the industry as a whole
You're
is.
totally right about that. I'm finding that every time I speak to you today, I've learned a whole bunch. Every time I meet someone or we talk about a product, I'm learning now.
Right.
Well, I never had that opportunity before because
Yeah.
I was too busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I made the excuses of being too busy not to learn.
Agreed.
And the point is to give yourself that time and learn.
Yes.
Do you agree, Mike?
Yes.
He just cares about parking. If I could get him something for his birthday, it's gonna be a parking spot.
Today, it was only today. Today was horrible, man. It was horrible. Fuck.
We gotta wrap it up.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap.
No, we're gonna. That quick? They just went right into it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Will, thank you very much for being with us, joining the construction life, and sharing your story.
It was a pleasure and an honor being here with you guys.
We really
Honestly.
appreciate
You're
it.
amazing,
Lot
buddy.
of
And you know
insight.
what, dude?
Lot
You're
of
going
insight.
now.
No, it's not done. It's not done. No, you gotta keep going. Next week, we are doing Reno Actors. Oh,
Straight from T.O., baby.
Yeah.
Reno Actors.
Reno Actors.
Okay.
Fire.
And the
Wait a second.
the lawyers have been called.
Wait a second. Is that a cricket?